in this sort of trial, the moment you find that they have been infringed, you quash the whole trial and you make, and he becomes a deputy president.
But you know, we are also being, can I just say what the judge was?
There's a fair statement that he makes.
Clear to Mark Nyamita. You know, he says he wants to learn, but you can't be a slow learner. And also, just refuse. Completely refuse to understand basic legal provisions. The Constitution clearly provides for political rights of citizens.
Yes.
Mark Nyamita, you do not need to be an advocate of the High Court to read the Constitution. It is a public document recommended for members of Parliament who are legislators.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much, guys, for your great support. Now, let me ask you, fellow Kenyans, what is normally the priority of our Kenyan leaders? We have leaders, yes, in this country, but what is normally their priority? Like right now, we have a lot of issues that are affecting Kenya, that are affecting everybody in the country. We have issues that are affecting Kenyans. We have students are going back home from strikes. You know, the striking schools are being banned. That is something that is affecting a lot of people. We have the issue of Ebola, which is going to affect people if the government will not be very keen on how we are going to solve that issue. But these people, they find the platform. Like, I was listening to these guys on Citizen TV this morning and I was like, what the hell is going on? These people have the platform of discussing these issues that are affecting Kenyans, or discussing what is the way forward. Because at the end of the day, we all must accept, or we all must agree, that when one gets a platform like Citizen TV and you're a leader, the expectation of Kenyans is that you tell Kenyans, or you tell the people what is the way forward according to how you think. What do you think is the way forward? First of all, what do you think is the way forward? But now, no, that is not their priority. Their priority is going to discuss an individual. Yes, we know very well that this matter of Rigathi Gachagua, blah, blah, it has got a lot of things in it. But why must you discuss the issue of Rigathi Gachagua on a platform that you've been given by people like Citizen TV? I really don't understand. This is why sometimes I normally ask, when is Citizen TV, what went wrong? You give people like GLADYS boss SHOLEI a platform. Yes, is the deputy speaker of the National Assembly. What is she saying? They're just talking about Rigathi Gachagua. They want to prove that, you know, they're learned. They want to prove that, you know, they're counselors. You know, they want to prove that, you know, they're the lawyers. You know, they know law more than other people. We don't want to listen to those kind of things. We want to know what is going on. Now, this morning, Citizen TV, Sam GITUKU hosted Nyamita, hosted Njeri Maina, and Manzo, and also GLADYS boss SHOLEI. Now, I don't want to talk about what they talked about. I just want to give you time to listen to these people from the beginning up to the, and then after listening to these people, you as a person, I want you to tell me that, do you really think that these things that these guys normally discuss, are they Kenyans' first priority? Because at the end of the day, there are a lot of things to be discussed. There are several things that are supposed to be discussed. You can't tell us that now you want to teach people law. You want to teach, okay, if you want to teach somebody law, GLADYS boss SHOLEI, if you want to teach Nyamita law, go to his office. Tell him that, Nyamita, I want you to enroll in my class. I will teach you law because I'm a lawyer, I'm a teacher. I'm a professor of law. I can teach you law. I've taught a lot of people. That is up to you. You don't want to listen to that. What we know, or what you want to know is, what is the way forward? How are you going to solve this issue? How are you going to solve this matter that is at hand right now? The students are going back home every day. Even the scholars right now have decided that they are going home because their fellows are at home. So they want to join the group. They want to go back home. What is the way forward? Can you tell us, what are we supposed to do? Even the president himself cannot say anything. In fact, when the president realizes that things are escalating in the country, he travels abroad. He walks around the globe because he knows that Akiwa Kenya, things will escalate. So you are the people that are supposed to tell us what is going on, because you have constituencies. You are a member of parliament. You have your own constituency. You have your students in your own constituency. People are affected in your own constituency. But no, you can't say anything. Why? Because you are in the pocket of this government. It's like you've also joined the crew. You also know what is going on. You don't have any. The problem with these people is that they don't have any solution to any problem that is affecting us or that is happening in this country. I want you to listen to watch this video from the beginning up to the end, and then you tell me what you think at the comment section. As a Kenyan, please watch this and also don't forget to click the subscribe button.
I want to correct him as his teacher. So, Honorable Manzo, what was before the court was whether the process of impeachment was done according to the law. The court does not impeach anybody. It's not within their jurisdiction. For them is to check that whether the process followed the law, whether the process followed the Constitution, and if it did, then they uphold the impeachment. That was not the decision at all before the court. So there is, you cannot give the court a power that they do not have. This is clearly within the decision of the National Assembly and then to Senate. That is how the process works.
Sorry, so you said the court was looking at the process.
Yes.
And if the process was followed, they uphold.
Yes.
What if they find fault in the process?
If they find fault in the process, then it means it comes back to Parliament for us to redo the impeachment correctly.
And now they have found that the rights of former DP Gachagua were infringed. And awarded some 50 million shillings to be paid for by the Senate.
Yes, but you know, if you look at what the way the court looked at it, the right to fair trial was largely done well, because remember, by the time he appeared before the Senate, he had already submitted all his submissions. All of the documents had been sworn under affidavit. And then on top of that, he had even gotten a second chance when he was requested for more information and he had submitted. So actually, your appearance is just to summarize what has been already before the court. So already he got a right to fair trial because everything was before. Was before the Senate.
The court says he was denied that because they didn't adjourn the session. And they had a wrong assumption that they have maximum 10 days, which the court says perhaps not, with more.
Yes, but you see, if he had absolutely had not gotten a chance to a fair trial, of course the court would have said that he didn't have fair trial, which means the impeachment cannot be upheld. But in this case, I'm just saying, the court, to a great extent, was satisfied. That's why they upheld the impeachment. To a great extent was satisfied. Because submissions had already been given in. He had been he had sat through the proceedings for a few days. He had, all his lawyers had submitted their documentation. He had read all the replying documentation from the other side of the impeachment process. So largely, he was given a fair hearing.
You don't think that finding that...
You also must look at it the way normal trials go on. Most of the time, people have court cases. I'm sure you've had a court case yourself. You submit you give your submissions, your lawyers respond, the other person responds, it is filed before the court, you sign affidavits in advance, and so on. And in fact, most of the time, most people don't attend their own trial.
Most of them. Cases.
But we are not even discussing this one.
Cases.
Yeah. So and even that we are not even discussing. We are just saying is that all the documentation that needed to be before the Senate that were required were already before the Senate. All senators had acquainted themselves with the documentation.
But Sam, can I give information? Because I think this is very... The court dealt with that. You see, there are 3 types of trials. There is a civil case trial, that's what she's talking about. There is a criminal case trial, which is beyond reasonable doubt. Now, for matters election and matters like impeachment, the courts rated them between the degree of a criminal case, but you know, civil cases are decided on a balance of probabilities. Now, this trial is in between, beyond reasonable doubt and a balance of probability. So in this particular case, because the other witnesses had been cross-examined and re-examined, meaning despite the paperwork, there is more information you are looking for. In the Gachagua case, this opportunity was not accorded to him. And the judges found that, and that's why they fined the Senate 50 million shillings.
Yep.
So they found that his rights to fair trial were infringed.
Okay.
And we are saying, in this sort of trial, the moment you find that they have been infringed,
yep,
you quash the whole trial, and you make, and he becomes a deputy president.
But you know, we are also being, can I just say what the judgment...
There's a fair statement that he makes about the fact that the court has already found that you didn't accord Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua a fair trial. And he also saying that he got the chance to make presentations, but the court is saying even in a matter, and I think you're a beneficiary of one of the matters in
you were quoted
of justice.
They quoted your case.
What should happen when everyone else has gotten an opportunity to express themselves?
You see, when the court is looking at a matter,
yeah, there
will be certain issues that have been presented to the court. They are called points for determination. So you go to the court and you say, one of the things they said is the constitutionality of Standing Order 64.
They agreed.
The court, they agreed. Okay. On issues of public participation, because you're the ones who brought those cases yourselves, isn't it? That's what you filed in the court. On the issue of public participation, the court said it was adequate. They went to public participation in the deputy president's nomination. Again, the court agreed with it. Yeah. The second public participation by the Senate, the court agreed with it. These were your own points of determination. Yourselves, you went to court and said, we want you as the court to determine the following issues. On public participation on Gachagua's impeachment, again, the court was satisfied. On the KU South data challenge, the court again upheld that. So on all the points, so you know, you don't look at a court case from one narrow point. It is what you presented to the court for the court to determine, which were put in there by Gachagua's lawyers. On the availability of Gachagua's response during the public participation, this was not required. Public participation turnout, the court again said there is no threshold for how much turnout, but a low turnout in itself does not necessarily mean that there was something wrong with it. Allegations of bias and conflict of interest, again, the court didn't dismiss that. Political predisposition and bias, the court ignored that. The role of parliamentary speakers on this, again,
no evidence.
Judiciary's role. So what we are saying is, whatever you tabled before the court, requesting for determination by the court, was determined. So you can't hang on one piece of thread and say that that is the only thing.
Okay.
Yes. Absent.
What to happen? And you now revert to the initial situation. You have two deputies. And you're saying that one may choose to resign or not. Is there a requirement on the courts not to create such a situation?
There is no such requirement. And that is why I have said the argument that impeachment is final is not factual. They have nullified impeachments before. The case of Wambora, the case of the Wajir governor.
But they said the county impeachment is totally different from presidential impeachment.
But then they were also referring to the same matter to make their arguments, which is why I say they find themselves in a conundrum where they're making decisions that suit them when they suit them. But when they do not suit them, they decide that they will not refer to the certain precedents. You know, the bench says that impeachment is final and claims that their hands are tied because we would revert to status quo ante. At the beginning of the trial, and I can comment on it because the matter is now done before the bench, they actually said when they were lifting the conservatory orders issued by Justice Mwongo that they do have the jurisdiction to undo the entire process and revert His Excellency to his status. So they said we should not worry about the lifting of the conservatory orders, that they have the judicial powers to undo the process. Boss SHOLEI, let me just confirm, she didn't teach me law, so she cannot refer to that as she did to Maanzo. Says that the process, you know, if it was unfair, then it should be the impeachment should be should not be upheld. But then she says that by the court's finding that his right to fair hearing was infringed, that he does not speak to the process. Trial is a process. It starts from day one to the very end of it. There is no absolute way to separate the same. If the Constitution intended to say, oh, you know, fair trial goes up to this stage, and then from this stage, then you can decide to look away and say that maybe if there was even a speck of unfairness.
So what would be your grounds of appeal? What are your grounds for appeal?
I cannot discuss that, of course, because we have already filed a notice, and you're aware, SHOLEI, that I cannot discuss the nitty-gritties of what will be contained in the appeal, because it is a matter that is before court. But the very truth of it is that the Wambora case, the impeachment, was done away with. The Wajir governor, Mohamed Abdi's matter. So, of course, that is why some were saying clear interference from the executive. They say, oh no, we have the powers to do so. We actually find that it was unfair. We actually find that we would have to do away with it, but you know, we can't, because we would revert back to status quo ante, despite them having the full jurisdiction to do so. Okay. So there is no argument, and they were just cutting around issues because there is no sensible, reasonable way to argue loud of a situation that is clear.
I think I actually ask that I don't want to get to office, but I want to be paid these benefits until the end.
No, that's not true.
It is there. It is there in your petition. No. Forget about the ruling, but it is there in your petition. One of your prayers was that you wanted him to be benefit, whatever. And this brings me to the issue of bad manners of our leaders who have been in office. People want, because what Rigathi Gachagua knows clearly, and this is now, I'm reading it from a political lens.
Yes.
Rigathi Gachagua wants to be reinstated as a deputy president because he knows that he's not going to hold public office. He's trying to mix many things. One, they want to create a constitutional crisis, like Njeri clearly agrees, that we are going to have 2 deputy presidents, and we are hoping one of them is going to resign. So in this whole petition is to create a constitutional crisis and throw us into even more chaos. Then they can blame everyone around it. That is number one. Number two, they want to earn money. Rigathi Gachagua wants to earn money for work not done.
No.
That is not going to be allowed. Number three, by the fact of reinstatement, he then qualifies for the benefits of a former office holder. And this brings me to the growing bad manners that our leaders have. We now see Rigathi Gachagua attempting to do that.
The court declined to determine.
Yeah, but this one, bad manners. Look at, this very, very constitution, and my good lawyers here who have turned into my teachers this morning. This very, very constitution said, if you are out of office, please do not participate in active politics. Rigathi Gachagua, in this particular
there's no such place in the constitution.
Surely, Mark, that is not.
That's not true.
Let me.
That was not a matter for determination by the court.
He's also having bad manners.
But also, Mark,
misleading. He's misleading the public.
Allow me to learn.
As you are still on that point,
allow me to learn.
Just hold it. As you're still on that point, because you're saying that the former deputy president wants to create a crisis, yet you're also saying that he already said that he doesn't want to be reinstated. Instead, he wants to be compensated for the work, for the time not served. Just hold on. If you are an employee, and you have one here, a former employee of the Judicial Service Commission, Mheshimiwa Deputy Speaker, who was compensated because of unfair administration of justice when she was removed as Chief Registrar of the Judiciary. An employee, if you are unfairly removed, you'll be compensated for the contract breached, isn't it?
This is an elective office.
No,
doesn't matter.
Do you agree that's an employee that would happen?
Yeah. Here, listen to me.
Yeah.
I have said, and I will repeat, and I'm not a slow learner for argument's sake.
Please don't be distracted.
I'm an engineer, which is slightly higher.
You're a member of parliament.
There's no profession above law. All engineers, when they are arrested, they look for lawyers.
Sorry, you're here by merit. Carry on, Mheshimiwa.
But this is what I am saying.
Yeah.
This team has moved to court to challenge an impeachment. The outcome of it, if their prayers were to be granted, if the impeachment was to be set aside, it means reinstatement. That's essentially what it is. And he had said by operation of law.
But the former deputy president's specific prayers, because he moved away from reinstatement, and he said he wants to be acknowledged that, just hold on, to be acknowledged that it was an unfair process, and therefore should be paid for the remainder of his term, and be deemed to have retired from office, and therefore get the benefits.
It's a shortcut. He said it. My good lawyer here said, by operation of law, when you set aside the impeachment, by operation of law, he is a deputy president. And they both agree. By operation of law. If you set aside the judgment, by operation of law, he becomes a deputy president. That's number one. But then they say, no, we don't want that deputy president. But this is the thing. These guys move to court to challenge an impeachment. If you are challenging an impeachment, it means you are asking for reinstatement. But in the same ask, they are saying, we do not want to go back to office. So what exactly do they really want? What exactly do they really want? Rigathi Gachagua challenges his impeachment in court and says the process was unfair, this was not done. But then he says, I do not want to be deputy president. So, you know, that even if I was sitting as a judge from the back end, so then exactly what do they want in that particular case? Do they want money? If it is money, they've been awarded 50 million. Do they want to enjoy the retirement package? You cannot enjoy a retirement package if you're not sitting in the office. So even the petition in itself, from a layman's perspective, like I'm saying, you know, I'm sat with teachers of law and students of law. But think about it. You have moved in to challenge a process which, if your wishes are granted, would bring you back to the office. Because when you're challenging an impeachment, it means then you want to actually get back to office. But at the same time, you say, I don't want to get back to particular office. So he's actually wasting taxpayers' time. But I think that this case needs to proceed all the way to the Supreme Court for good history, so that when future occurrence can, we can build on the richness of our judiciary, so that we can have tested it. What exactly it can actually do. Jurisprudence. No, I'm not a student. Yeah, we can build on our jurisprudence in the court. So I think it can only go to that extent. But just like they agree with parts of the judgment and they disagree with certain parts of the judgment, I think we also can disagree with certain parts of the judgment, particularly on the issue of public participation. The issue of public participation, not public participation, sorry, the right to a fair trial. Okay. When there was a notice of impeachment, because you see, when you bring something to the floor of the House, there is notice. When you've been given notice of impeachment, you're given even grounds. And you're given time to actually respond, which Rigathi Gachagua actually did respond. Rigathi Gachagua appeared at... he was actually sat in Parliament. I'm not talking about the Senate. He actually sat in Parliament through the hearing. When all these things were, he actually made written submissions on all the allegations, and he filed every other single supporting document as part of his right to a fair trial. He was then actually invited. We all know, but I will go back to my earlier point, that impeachment is a political process. And Rigathi Gachagua decided to play politics within it. That he came through very well in the National Assembly. The debate went on. The voting was completed. When we transmitted the matter to Manzo's, where Manzo sits in the Senate.
Trial chamber. Trial chamber. You only charged him. Then we did the trial.
That's fine. So when we moved it to, he also then did appear. And then I looked through. So there was an initial argument, the House should have been first into a committee, then into the plenary. The matter should have gone to a committee first before the plenary. And that was the argument from the people who actually challenged this impeachment. When a committee of Parliament sits, that is Parliament sitting. And when he was actually charged there, it was both plenary and a committee in itself. So because it's a political process, the gentleman was there in the morning. He started listening through and through. Then he saw the way the mood was, because this is a political process. Let me tell you, as politicians, sometimes you can have campaigned all through, but you can go to a crowd and then you can read the mood. You can read the mood of the people who are likely to vote. So I think when Rigathi Gachagua went into the Senate in that morning, he read actually the mood, and he decided to play politics with this thing. And why? So he decided that he was sick, or let's say he fell sick, which according to me was a move to try and whip a bit more sympathy, and utilize that particular period to hopefully put pressure on the people who are going to vote in the Senate through their constituents that, oh, you know, this guy now has fallen sick, he's about to die, and all those sort of things. So in my view, the right to a fair trial, including public participation, is a right to fair trial, in my view.
It's part of the process.
So question
was adequate.
There's Senator how do you make sure, because I know you're saying that the impeachment is a political process, but how do we make sure that it's not abused by politicians on whichever side, whether it's because you remember you're in this country and you saw the sort of public participation that we witnessed, the chaos at Bomas and other places, people who destroyed papers, and I know the court said that it is up to Kenyans to decide what to do with that time allowed, but how do you shield such important constitutional processes from abuse by politicians and politics?
I think that one of the first steps for us to do as Parliament is to probably move with speed to enact the public participation law, so that it defines what is the threshold of good public participation, so that we can abide by it. Because in the absence of it, then, you know, it depends. I can have come here to Citizen and I say this is public participation. I can go elsewhere and meet a few people. Again, we also know it's not practical for you to meet 50 million Kenyans. Even if you extended the thing for a month, I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Even now we've been pushing guys to go and register. But only a certain number, we are saying, you know, we have 5 million votes out there that are potential voters that have not voted. But only maybe 1 million have actually, whatever. So time maybe is one of the things. But I think it is actually for Parliament to enact a law that then defines what would constitute a proper public participation exercise. But I wanted to say what Njeri is speaking to. And Jerry and all the lawyers here, I am learning law, but please don't be bad teachers, because I can pick bad teaching from good ones. When you move to court, Sam, to challenge an impeachment process, what is it that you want? That's a fundamental question that, I mean, Kenyans are asking. You have moved to court to whatever. So jurisprudence is one. That is good for students, so that future and you know, people can refer to that particular case.
Yep.
Precedent. You want to set precedent that, you know, tomorrow when I'm president and they want to impeach me, they can know what exactly to actually do. But what are they actually seeking? Because say, we want this and we are hoping that someone is actually going to resign after that. Now, if he doesn't want to be a deputy president, which if he doesn't,
he has announced.
Yeah, he has announced he doesn't want to be a deputy president. Then why
because he knows it's impossible.
No, he doesn't want to be a deputy president. So why is he challenging this particular process? I'm speaking now in this panel as an ordinary Kenyan. What is it that you are actually seeking from that particular case? Because if you do not want to get back to office, but you want to get benefits, because one of the prayers in that particular petition was that he be paid for the period until the end. So Rigathi Gachagua wants to be paid for work not done.
No.
Essentially, because that was a prayer. That was a prayer item in your petition. They actually said, we don't want to get back to office, but we want to be paid our benefits for the whole period. They are seeking money. That's the thing.
It's being a slow land.
I can explain, because the court dealt with all that.
Let me finish. I'm just talking about, like I've said, I am on this panel as a layman, but I speak from what I actually read.